Hello, I'm Cheyenne.
And I'm Frankie.
And we are
Conbini
Cult. Welcome to this week's episode. How are you, Frankie?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm getting hungry because I'm thinking about the jalapeno poppers that we're going to eat tonight.
Yeah. I'm excited. I've never been to that place you're talking about, so I love a good jalapeno popper. We also ate burritos a couple weeks ago after recording.
Yeah, pretty good
that place was really good too. It's always so hard to find like good Mexican food in Osaka,
Japan in general,
Japan.
But yeah, Osaka particularly.
There's a good what is it called? What is his name? I forgot it, but maybe you've seen a few like TikToks about it already. It's like the most authentic Mexican food in Tokyo. I think over in like Harajuku, because the chef is Japanese, but he lived in Mexico for like, I don't know, a lot of years, a long time basically. And all of the ingredients are really like authentic and really fresh. And if you're ever in Tokyo, I really want you to try it because I want to go too and see. But it looks so good. And yeah, that's kind of our life update. We're just thinking about food and going to dinner later.
That's about it. What is it, January 26th?
Is it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, same day as the previous episode. If we uploaded it right before this one. Sometimes we change the order.
Yeah.
But future me, did I have a great time in Hokkaido?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
And tell us what you ate and everything, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Did I have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all we have for our updates. Sorry.
Simple one.
If you're watching, I'm wearing a South Park shirt. I've never watched South Park ever. Name one Nirvana song. But like, yeah, I've seen clips of it. I know. If anyone can tell us where you can watch it in Japan. I know I just looked it up and it said like Amazon Prime. Maybe, but I'm trying to watch it from like episode 1. Yeah. Is it worth it? Or is it like more funny from the beginning, or is it like more funny these days? Because it's not as South Park has always been like offensive in like a funny way, but
yeah, I mean they don't really leave anyone out of the offensive jokes. I guess that's a good point. But I feel like you could watch any random episode. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order.
In order? Okay, well that's good to know.
But it might be interesting to watch from the beginning.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I like whatever clips I do see. Sometimes they'll bring in Asian characters or like Japanese characters specifically, and I like to show those to my partner because he's Japanese, and thankfully he has a wonderful sense of humor and also finds it very funny. So I'm glad we can watch that together. But maybe this shit will motivate me to go see it. But that's all I kind of have for an update. If we want to jump into our episode, the topic I chose for this one, a little in relation to Frankie's previous topic about like the loneliness epidemic in Japan, kind of branching off of that, I'm going to get into Japan's hoarder houses and talk about Saikyo-chan and the gomi yashiki epidemic here in Japan.
Yeah, so what does gomi yashiki mean?
Good question. I'm listing that in our words of the day, which I will bring back for this episode. Don't worry. I'm going to have you read it.
Okay.
Yeah, but before we get into that word, the first word I wanted to mention is a hikikomori, or a, what do you call, shut-in, a recluse.
A recluse.
Yeah.
I feel like more people these days are knowing
what
that word
are.
is.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's a trendy thing, but I think more people would recognize that word.
Yeah, and basically, people who don't leave their house and just stay at home, and you can be a person living alone and be a hikikomori and never leave. Or I know, maybe some families, one of the children is like a hikikomori and
they don't leave their bedroom.
They don't leave their bedroom, and so maybe they take the mother, if they're caring for them, takes all of their meals and stuff to the door. And I don't know if you're really into Japanese media and movies. You've probably seen at least once a hikikomori portrayal. Yeah. Okay, and our second word of the day, which you just brought up,
was gomi yashiki, which is essentially a hoarder house. So gomi is trash, and then yashiki is a house. According to Google, a hoarder house, gomi yashiki, or garbage mansion, garbage house.
Yeah, garbage house, if you literally translate it. Yeah.
Garbage mansion sounds so extreme.
And it's probably like mansion, like the Japanese
like an apartment.
Yeah, not a mansion. Yeah.
It is a term in Japan for a building, mainly a residence, or a piece of land that is not intended to be a dump, but where garbage is left piled up.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen a gomi yashiki, like what it looks like.
I was just checking the mics.
Okay. What it looks like. I was like, where are you going? You're dodging the trash. If you haven't seen like what a gomi yashiki could look like from the inside, if you ever live or have traveled to Japan, depending like where in Japan you are, there's, I would say more so inaka, right? Like kind of countryside. You see a lot of like trash piled up or like kind of homes that look pretty abandoned and there's like trash piled up on the outside. So it applies to both. But we will be discussing those gomi yashiki or hoarder houses here in this episode. And the last, do you have something?
No, I'm just thinking about garbage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And the last word we had is a NEET. And that's all capitals NEET. Or if you katakanify it, it's a neeto. Have you heard of this word before?
I've heard the word before, but I don't fully understand what it means.
I've never heard of this word until like being in Japan. So I don't know if this is like a waseieigo. Technically kind of. So neeto, N-E-E-T, stands for not in education, employment, or training. So have you watched Alice in Borderland?
Yes.
Okay, so the main character
is a gamer.
Forgot his name, but he's a gamer.
Isn't it Alice?
Yes, you're so right. I was thinking of like his first name, like is his name
think Alice
like
is a
Kenta
nickname,
or something, or his like last name, right? Is like Arisu. I don't know.
I thought that was a nickname.
What?
I forgot.
You know, Alice in Borderland. I forgot the main character's name, Alice. Sorry. Okay, but that was like the dumbest thing I've said all day, if not in these last 10 minutes. Okay. But anyway,
one per day.
So that character, you can describe him as a neeto because he's not technically a hikikomori. He has friends. He goes outside. He has a social life. Yeah. But in that show, I think he dropped out of university and then he wasn't like trying to get a job or anything. He wasn't working. That's the education and employment and I guess training. You know, he wasn't like working a baito.
For a job,
Yeah. So that's kind of like if you're familiar with that character, what you can imagine what a neeto is. So he just kind of like lives at home and lives with his parents. He chills, he plays his games, he hangs out with his friends, but he's not doing anything outside of that.
I see.
Yeah.
But that is kind of it has a negative connotation, right? It's kind of a derogatory
I wouldn't.
Like an insult?
I haven't heard of anyone.
Or do people self-identify? Are there any proud neetos?
I've heard people say, like, call themselves, like, oh, neeto desu, in not a super positive way, but maybe they just quit their job and they're, like, looking for a job. So kind of in that moment, they're unemployed and, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think they would say that in, like, a lighter term. Kind of like in English, too, right? You kind of, like, dog on yourself a little bit. But if you're calling someone else a neet, it's not in a positive way. I don't think you have anything super positive to say about that person if you're just describing them as a neet on your own. Okay. But yeah, before we get into everything, now that we've covered that, I have a little disclaimer.
Let's go.
Yeah, so in this episode, we will be discussing, you know, hoarding disorder and hoarder behavior and tendencies. But of course, we are not mental health professionals. Yep. All of our research is just come from, you know, like Google searching and watching videos here and there. I'm in no way claiming I am an expert in hoarding disorder, OCD, or any other mental health issue. So this is just from like, you know, self-research and our opinion and personal experience. All right. Sound good?
Let's get
into
it.
Get over that? Okay. So like I said, I'm going to talk about hoarding houses here in Japan and also someone called Saikyo-chan. So Saikyo-chan is someone who's become a very well-known, I guess I'm putting air quotes, influencer here on Japan TikTok. She's known for her very, I guess, poor living conditions. And not poor like no money, but like poor, unwell, like not good. Unclean living conditions. Yeah. And many of her videos are filmed at home where you can see trash piled up almost to the ceiling, like piles and piles. There's also bugs like all over on the walls or sometimes just like in her videos if she's recording something, you know, like cooking or whatever. And you just see all of that like rotten garbage or papers and stuff lying around. That was a general description of her. Before I get into her more in detail, let's just talk about gomi yashiki, aka hoarder houses here in Japan.
Okay.
But before that, first of all, what is hoarding disorder, according to Google?
Okay, so hoarding disorder is a compulsive behavior that causes people to have difficulty throwing away possessions, regardless of their value. It can lead to living spaces that are difficult to navigate, resembling obstacle courses. In Japan, homes with this condition are called gomi yashiki, which means garbage house.
Yeah, garbage houses, garbage mansions. Yeah. And so I was kind of curious, the more research I did on it, I wanted to know, like, how common is it here? Because, like, you never really see it in mainstream media so much. Like, would you think?
And you also wouldn't really know from the outside of somebody's house.
Right.
Like, your neighbor could have a gomi yashiki. You wouldn't know.
Right.
Unless it stinks.
Yeah. Like the main reason why I am really interested and like kind of more familiar with this, like I don't know if you like ever looked into gomi yashiki before, but like I love like clean talk, like cleaning side of TikTok. And so I'll watch a lot of cleaning videos, both in other countries and in Japan. And so that's how I've been able to see that there are quite like there's more gomi yashiki here in Japan than I think people imagine there to be. Like there's quite a few videos out there. And I follow, I'm sorry, I forgot their name, like a specific cleaning company where they go ahead and take care of these like gomi yashiki and do like deep cleanings. And the trash is like piled. I'm not exaggerating, piled to the ceiling, and there's no walking space. And yeah, I mean, it has a lot to do with like mental health and how people can just still live there and sleep there and everything. And so, yeah, that's how I was kind of introduced to gomi yashiki in Japan. But anyway, could you kind of let us know how common it is here in Japan?
Sure. So in the widely reported cases, many of the people who build these hoarder houses are the owners of the land and houses, and some are even wealthy people who own multiple real estate in the vicinity. Many are elderly and living alone, married but living separately, or widowed. With no acquaintances or friends, estranged from relatives, they are completely isolated from the local population. Such social isolation is considered to be one of the primary factors that lead to the formation of hoarder houses. Once the premises deteriorate into a hoarding house, it becomes difficult for the residents to clean up the mess by themselves, leading to a vicious cycle that worsens over time. Even for objects that are generally considered garbage, legal ownership rights exist. Even if something appears to be unquestionably garbage to a third party, it is difficult for neighbors or the government to intervene and forcibly remove it when the owner claims it is not. In addition, in the case of private property, entry without a valid cause is considered illegal trespassing, which makes the problem more difficult to solve.
Yeah, and so I think this kind of ties into, if you listened or watched to our previous episode about the loneliness epidemic here in Japan and
with
people living with the elderly and people living alone. So what did it say? Many are elderly and living alone, or widowed or living separately. So lots of these.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't imagine that most are, or that many are elderly people.
Yeah, and so and I can see it too, because let's say like this, I'm reading this from Wikipedia, by the way, but like it says, oh no, just give me no credit at all, or what is it? Lost all my credibility. But
Source,
anyway.
trust me, bro.
Yeah, but anyway, a lot of these people don't have many acquaintances from friends or acquaintances or friends, or, they're estranged from relatives and they're completely isolated. And so, yeah, it can be hard without that kind of support to, I don't know, be affected mentally by that. And it might be hard to throw things away, or in the case for the elderly, maybe just like your physical strength, you're not able to throw certain things away. Just because you just can't get rid of it. Also, in Japan, we've discussed like in early episodes about like how hard it is to throw your trash away, and how, there's certain like trash days, or depending on the size of the garbage, you need to like register it to throw it away in like a specific day.
Schedule it at City Hall or something.
Right. And so there's a lot of factors that lead up to like why people just can't throw away their trash right away, And I was kind of curious, like, what's the government doing about it? What are municipalities doing about it? So if the presence of a hoarder house hinders public welfare, then the garbage may be forcibly removed within the scope of laws and regulations. Based on this possibility, an increasing number of municipalities are enacting their own ordinances. However, few have implemented garbage removal through administrative enforcement or subrogation.
Regulations requiring landlords to pay for forced removal are established in Suginami, Ota, and Arakawa wards of Tokyo. Suginami Ward, Ota Ward, and Arakawa Ward have established ordinances requiring landlords to pay for forced removal of garbage. In addition, Adachi Ward in Tokyo is in the process of enacting an ordinance that will allow the ward to bear up to $6,700, around 1 million yen, if the landlord cannot afford the cost of the forced removal. However, it is rare in Japan for municipalities to subsidize the cost of trash removal.
Yeah, according to the Mainichi Shimbun, survey reported in its October 23, 2016 edition, so a little while back, sorry, among a total of 74 cities and the 23 wards of Tokyo, only 16 municipalities, so 16%, have enacted ordinances for dealing with hoarder houses. Experts have pointed out that the Japanese government should take measures for hoarder houses rather than leaving them up to local governments, as the formation of hoarder houses can happen to anyone, not just the elderly. Yeah, so it just sounds like there's a lot of regulations regarding personal property that make it hard for governments to, I don't know, arbitrarily remove like trash from these properties, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that kind of ties in with, like with abandoned and vacant homes too. Like a lot of times they can't do anything with it because somebody owns it. Yeah. So yeah, it's the same with garbage, I guess, along the same lines.
I know. And it didn't say here, but it says like, there are some cases where they're allowed to forcibly remove the garbage if it's becoming public nuisance. But like, what are the regulations for that? Like when does it become public nuisance? Like, is it blocking? I assume maybe it's like blocking the sidewalk or or smell. I don't know.
Some kind of bug infestation that's going into other apartments.
That's like what I'm worried about. Again, we're going to talk about Saikyo-chan a little later, but my main concern, if you are living in an apartment with a lot of trash, there's bugs and building like pipes and everything, all of that is connected. And so
air vents and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a little surprised action hasn't been taken against situations like that a little quicker. Or maybe they have, and just not in Saikyo-chan's case. But yeah, I don't know. So I wanted to know a little more information about who makes up the hoarder house population in Japan. I know we said a lot of the elderly or widowed people do, but I also found an article by the Asahi Shimbun. If you want to read it.
Wow. We'll put the picture on the YouTube video, or you can look at the article. If you're listening, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, just read
what a photo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's long.
Oh, and the title, sorry.
It's not that long.
Oh, sorry. Thank God.
Okay, survey. 60% of hoarder house occupants live by themselves. A survey on hoarder houses nationwide shows that a majority of the owners either suffer from health or economic problems or don't want to resolve the problem, the Internal Affairs Ministry announced on August 28th. Municipalities are struggling to handle hoarder houses, or gomi yashiki, literally garbage house, across Japan that have grown into a social headache attributed to odor and high fire risk. I didn't even think about
that, actually. Yeah.
As of fiscal 2022, a separate review by the Environment Ministry logged 5,224 of these residences around the country. The Internal Affairs Ministry conducted its survey from October 2022 through August 2024 to get a better grasp of the actual conditions and clarify what issues municipal governments face. Sorry. A total of 181 hoarder homes were chosen from 30 cities and wards, with a population exceeding 100,000. Survey results regarding a home's impact on the surrounding neighborhood indicated 103 instances where the house was a fire hazard and 94 with a disruptive odor. Of these 181 cases, 62 have been resolved. For example, the house was either cleaned up or demolished, and 119 remain hoarder homes. An overwhelming 80% for the reason behind the unresolved case is that the residents do not understand their municipal government's approach to handling them. Another significant obstacle was that 60% do not want to change the state of their homes, while 30% insist the hoarded garbage is valuable. In those 30% of cases, municipal governments said that it was difficult to conclude whether the garbage was considered waste under the Waste Management and Public Cleaning Law, and that they could not instruct residents to remove it. The reality is a sobering 70% of residents are plagued by financial problems and health concerns. 60% of residents are unmarried and are the house's sole occupant. More than half of those living alone in a hoarder house are 65 or older. It is important for the municipal governments to cooperate not only with environmental departments, but also with social welfare departments and social welfare councils, said the Internal Affairs Ministry's Administrative Management Bureau. They need to establish an environment where they can use various approaches to tackle the problem. The Bureau also pointed out that the relevant ministries and agencies need to collaborate on giving each municipal government the information it requires. The Administrative Management Bureau also notified the Environment, Welfare, and Transportation Ministries, as well as the Internal Affairs Ministry... as well as the Internal Affairs Ministry's Fire and Disaster Management Agency of the survey results on August 28th.
Give Frankie a round of applause for reading that article for us.
Woo! I messed that up so much.
No,
there's so many
it was a long
agencies
one.
and management.
There's a lot of names
municipalities.
In that one. Yeah, but basically to summarize, I asked who makes up majority of these hoarder houses, and like the survey said, 60% of them were occupants who live by themselves, and of that, a lot of them were 65 years or older, which ties into Frankie's previous topic. But it is quite a vicious cycle, as they explain, right? Of like, I feel like the further isolated you are and I don't know, less resources you have for like a lot of financial resources too, right? It's just like easy to let this garbage build up.
That also makes me wonder, because in the episode about the loneliness epidemic among the elderly, and about them getting rejected for housing. I wonder if some landlords are thinking of statistics like this with gomi yashiki among the elderly.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That could be one possible factor.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, have you ever seen kind of, so the picture in this article we just read, like we said, we're going to put it up in the video version, but have you ever seen like anything like that before in person? In your own experience?
No, not in person.
No, I don't think I have either. I mean, I've seen,
it was a picture of like a team clearing out the garbage in a house.
Yeah. And I've seen like, some areas where I'm like, oh, they just have like junk in their yard or whatever, but I haven't seen anything like to this extent on the outside, And so it is kind of shocking to see like a little bit of a related, tangent, I guess. Have you ever watched the Hoarders series or show on, I think it's on TLC in the US?
No, I never have.
No? Okay, so I'm very guilty of like watching that show, and they do cover, hoarder houses and people with hoarding disorder and everything like that. And you just think like it's really like hard to understand where that person is coming from, obviously. I think if you're just watching it as a viewer for like entertainment consumption, you're like, how could you let it get to this level? Like, oh my God, it could never be me. Like, what do you mean you have all of that, air quotes, junk in your house, Like, how does it have meaning to you? But you never really know what anyone's going through. So, and I think like with the amount of like stuff and space, like for a lot of like American houses that they have, it kind of makes more sense to me, like how they, like there's just like more stuff, there's more space for more stuff.
That's
like,
true.
Like we mentioned in our reverse culture shock episode, like, a lot of people have like basements or maybe attics or just like a living room and then like a family room, there's just like more areas to keep like knickknacks and other things in. And so it's, I don't know, I thought it was more uncommon in Japan because
there's less space.
There's less space, so it kind of makes sense that like, or you would have this image that people kind of live a little bit more like minimally here because of the lack of space. But it's definitely the opposite, because now that I've lived in Japan for a while, have you ever noticed like lots of apartments here, especially, there's no like storage space, really. There's no shelves even. Like, even if you don't have space for a bigger closet or a storage closet or whatever, like, look at this, if you're watching, like this wall behind us, like there's no things on the walls. There's no shelf either. And a lot of homes don't even have like shelving built into them.
Yeah. Of course, it depends where you live, but it's not uncommon for a place to not have even a closet.
Right. And so it's kind of like, I kind of get how it can start of just like not
piling
having space for stuff to have, and it just like the only place you can put it is on the ground, and then you just like stack it up from there. Like, but yeah, anyway, so that was just kind of like an overall explanation of like hoarder houses in Japan and, you know, the percentage of people who have hoarder homes here. And now I want to get into someone in particular that is in this category of gomi yashiki.
Okay.
So we will talk about Saikyo-chan and hikikomori idols. So first of all, what is a hikikomori idol, Frankie?
Hikikomori idol?
Yeah.
According to Google AI review overview, a hikikomori idol refers to a public figure, often an online personality, who presents themselves as someone experiencing hikikomori, a Japanese term describing a state of severe social withdrawal, where individuals isolate themselves at home for extended periods, often refusing to work or attend school, while still maintaining a public persona through online platforms like social media, essentially someone who uses the characteristics of a hikikomori to build a following, despite being actively engaged in online interactions.
Yeah, so...
Interesting.
Is this your first time hearing this term, hikikomori idol?
Idol, yeah, I've never heard
it with the word idol before, right?
So they're kind of... Are they actually hikikomori, or are they just, is it kind of like a persona?
I would assume it's a persona. And the only reason why I came across this word and wanted to define it is because I was Googling. So results, like if you live in Japan, obviously, if you Google something in Japanese versus Googling it in English, the results that come up are obviously different. So when I was Googling who is Saikyo-chan in English, there are quite a few like YouTube videos and Reddits and TikToks about her from English speakers. I don't know where they're from in particular, but they're quite... I guess, negative about her. But one of the results that came up, it kind of described her as Saikyo-chan is Japan's hikikomori idol. And so I saw that and I was like, what does that mean? But if you search her name in English on Google, the results are things like the most disturbing TikTok influencer in Japan. Saikyo-chan, aka the strongest, explained Japan's cockroach girl situation has gone beyond crazy. Gradual chaos cooking. You know, it's very negative about her, and we'll see why in a little bit.
Can I talk about the one video I have seen from her?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, in the video, you can see she's at home, and there are very large piles of garbage everywhere. It looks like you wouldn't be able to walk, but she's cooking something.
Yeah.
So I assume she does a lot of cooking videos, but every time she picks up something, like a plate or something, you see little like baby cockroaches scattering everywhere. And of course, you know, with cockroaches, the smaller they are, the bigger the problem it is because they're
having babies. Yeah.
So yeah. And then she was just, you know, cooking her food and eating it as normal.
Yeah.
Even though there's lots of trash and bugs in her home.
Yeah. So we'll link a couple of her videos that I'm referencing here in the episode. But if you ever want to see like all of her videos in depth, you can look her up on TikTok account. Yeah. I wasn't expecting her to already like blow up this much outside of Japan. Like I've seen a ton of reaction videos and like, you know, reposts of her here on Japan's side of TikTok, but I wasn't expecting like YouTube commentary videos about her. By creators already in English. And
a good point.
I assume, I'm sorry, I haven't like looked into these creators' backgrounds, but I assume maybe they also live in Japan and like are talking about her. But yeah, so it was interesting to see. So I kind of wanted to learn more about hikikomori idols, because does Saikyo-chan technically fall into this category as the YouTuber describes? I don't know. So to describe a hikikomori idol, there are some key points that make up what that is. So the first one is social paradox. So while the term hikikomori signifies extreme social isolation, a hikikomori idol actively seeks attention and engagement online, creating a contradiction in behavior. That
makes sense.
You know, it makes sense, right? The second one is, you know, they cause potential concerns. So this trend can be controversial as it might romanticize or trivialize the serious mental health condition of hikikomori, potentially causing harm by making light of the struggles faced by people who genuinely experience social withdrawal.
Yeah.
So I understand that too, because when you think of typical hikikomori, they're not like engaging online, at least like in terms of showing their face most of the time.
Yes.
I'm sure times have changed, but like, maybe some hikikomori are on blogs and stuff, and they're like writing anonymously or like writing blogs or commenting on stuff. But Saikyo-chan is kind of the first person I've seen who's like put a face to like the hikikomori label, I guess, if you want to call her that, right?
Yeah.
And the last key point is motivation. So some online personalities may adopt this image to attract attention or exploit the curiosity surrounding the hikikomori phenomenon.
Yeah. That was kind of my first question when I saw that video. I was thinking, like, is this sort of rage bait?
And it's kind of gaining that speculation. Yeah.
Because with at least English speaking TikTok, people do seem to love cleaning videos.
Yeah.
And there have been times when people, have a really portray their home as more messy than it would usually be, just so they can get those views and comments of people saying, "Oh, that's so disgusting." So that kind of made me think about that when I saw the Saikyo-chan video.
It could be. I mean, and not only does she do cooking videos, she kind of just does like, day in the life videos, or she explains her like financial situation, which I'll point out in a second. But you mentioned, you saw the first video you saw of her, she was like cooking and there was like bugs and everything around there. Yeah, I've also seen a video of her. She's so clearly based on her living conditions, she has also said herself she doesn't like bathe every day, and so with that, maybe her hair is greasier than normal. It doesn't look brushed all the time in her videos. And so another video I've seen of her was using flour, like cooking flour, as dry shampoo to help with her oily hair. And so she'll just like kind of find things in her pile of gomi, like trash, to, I don't know, not help her situation, but like, she's like, okay, today's video, I'm going to use flour as a dry shampoo. Will it work? I don't know. And then she just like does it and it worked for her. And so it's kind of like, where did you get that idea? Like, is it rage bait, or is this like something truly like you are in a financial position where maybe you can't pay for your water bill, so you can't take a shower, so you need to use like what is available to you? Or are you just doing this to like gain more like popularity online and stuff?
But I feel like because she gets a lot of views.
Yeah, now.
So she probably does make money from TikTok.
Yeah, we will get into that in a little bit. Yeah, so although the origin of Saikyo-chan, it's like pretty relatively unknown. She kind of just popped up on my feed. I don't know about you, but yeah. I
think it's because you sent it to me. Yeah. I don't know if that was on my feed. So, I don't watch that many cleaning videos.
Yeah, so I've seen some like reaction videos about her and all of that stuff, but just, based on what I've seen, although her lifestyle kind of seems to have more like hikikomori shut-in tendencies, some people online say that she still maintains a part-time job. And I've also seen her make videos like going out to eat at different restaurants and stuff. So she's definitely not like a total recluse or a total hikikomori. Even though in her videos, she states that she's been a hikikomori and a neeto for 2 years. So, yeah, I don't know where like you draw the line of like, if you are a hikikomori, are you like not allowed, quote unquote, allowed to leave your house? Like, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think she was with friends, but she was just like filming herself. Where did she go? She went to like Saizeriya, like a chain restaurant for like Italian food here. And so she goes out to eat, which means she has money to go out to eat, which means she's not like a total recluse, like I mentioned in her videos. But even in those videos where I've seen her in public, it's not like she's changing her persona or anything. She's still very much in her like unwashed clothing and everything. So and I found a good video which we'll link in the description. She calls it like the year of like cancellations or something, like things I've canceled in my life. And so I'm gonna have Frankie read. She kind of like pinpoints certain things she canceled. So
So she claims that she hasn't paid rent in 2 years. What?
Yeah, so she canceled rent basically.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she hasn't paid her rent in 2 years.
Are we gonna talk about squatters' rights or something? Because how do you not pay your rent for 2 years?
Yeah, I'll get into it briefly. Yeah, that was like a lot of other research, but yeah.
Okay. Has spent over 100,000 yen in online shopping.
Yeah, so she either has a lot of money to spend or she's in a lot of debt. But either way, she's spending money on other things besides rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
She owes 230,000 yen on her phone bill. Was it like $1,500 or something?
Yeah.
Hasn't paid her utilities in over 7 months, but her gas and electric are paid off.
Yeah. So I don't understand like
Don't they shut off the water too?
That's what I'm thinking too. So I don't know if like it's
what utilities then?
I don't know. Like the kanji for it, like, so her utilities, the kanji she used for not paying her utilities was unpaid, but then the gas and electric one, it was like
she pays those.
I couldn't understand the nuance of it, because if you search the meaning of what was it? Maybe I have it somewhere. This one, kansai, like full and like finished, like complete and finished, like. It defines it as full payment, but it also defines it as liquidated, which I'm not sure what the nuance of that means.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's just like she doesn't have to pay anymore because it's like fully liquidated or whatever. I don't know. Like, and that's why I'm so curious about her, because like, how can she live without paying anything still and not being kicked out, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah.
Could those things just be lies, though, is
right.
the question.
And so that's another question, right? It's kind of like, is it rage bait? Does she have the money to pay for things and she's just creating a persona that she doesn't? Because who knows? Everyone lies on the internet, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So the question is, even though the conditions of her home are publicly posted online, aka there's evidence, how has she not been evicted? So there's a TikTok video asking a realtor why Saikyo-chan has not been forcibly removed yet. So yeah, they basically said, since it is her home, produced by her, she owns it?
No, that is not what I meant to write. I'm sorry. I meant to say, like, since she lives there, like, since she lives in that space.
Her home.
Yeah,
She's
it's
a
her
resident?
home. Yeah, she's a resident. Sorry.
Okay. Start over.
Yes.
Okay, so since it is her home, she is a resident of this building or whatever, the garbage is technically Saikyo-chan's property. Therefore, landlords don't have the right to get rid of her garbage on their own arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Even if the landlord tries to evict her, there are many procedures that would take place before Saikyo-chan would officially have to move out. There are even cases where similar instances have taken over 2 years to be fully processed before the tenant even had to move out. And forcible removals in Japan must go through a judicial trial. So money.
Yeah.
On top of that, the landlord is responsible for all of those lawyer fees, even for the tenant.
Yeah, if I understood that TikTok correctly. It was all in Japanese, so that was me translating it while I was listening.
The lawyer has to bear the cost of that.
Yeah, the landlord.
The landlord.
Yes, has to bear the cost.
Not the lawyer.
Yeah. So overall, it just seems like, if you want to say it in Japanese, very mendokusai, like a hassle. It's not as easy as like sending an eviction notice and then they have to move out the next day. Like, I feel like that's a very American thing. Like, getting evicted is very quick and very serious in the States, I feel like.
That's true.
Yeah.
But if it's true that she has not paid her rent in 2 years, then wouldn't the lawyer fees cost less than the profit you're losing from 2 years of unpaid rent?
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, and that's why it kind of furthers the speculation of like,
maybe it's
is
not
it
true.
Rage bait? Is it not true? Who knows? Like, and so,
I understand about the garbage being her property. Okay, but someone not paying their rent for 2 years.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't get it. But yeah. Also, this is like super not important, but the points you read, I found it from like a TikTok, obviously. And then I was like, I found another video. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, maybe they'll have different points of view. And I clicked it. And the second video I watched, they said the same exact thing, like verbatim almost. And so I was like, what's going on? So I looked at the post date. And yeah, so the second video I found was posted on December 22nd. And the original video I watched was posted on like January 15th. So I think they like copied them. Someone just copied the other one and like totally plagiarized it. And it wasn't even like the idea or like they had similar thoughts. It was almost like word for word. Like they both used...
Did Brent Rivera post that video? Like
the Brent Rivera's of Realtor
Mr.
TikTok Japan. For real. But so I was like, whoa. Yeah, maybe they're on the same page, but then it was like quoted almost word for word. They both used, well, the one who posted it later was copying phrases like they both used, even if garbage is piled up to the ceiling, that is still Saikyo-chan's property. Like, two different realtors of different, like, areas wouldn't say that exact phrase. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then same with the lawyer fees. They were saying, like, yeah, the landlord would have to pay maybe about, like, $2,000 to $5,000 in lawyer fees. And the other one, like the second one, said the same exact number. So I'm like, oh my God, they, like, fully copied this video. So anyway.
Where's your creativity?
Yeah, that is, like, unimportant to this. I was just like, oh, watch out, because there's, like, TikTok plagiarism out there. But anyway. Of course. But anyway, yeah. So I wanted to kind of see, who else besides these, like, realtors are kind of like, is there anyone else out there that is curious about Saikyo-chan and, like, what is her situation? Like, who, like, what is going on? Because she is a very, I guess, recent, again, air quotes, influencer. So there's not too much out there about her, like, personal life or her background.
Okay.
And so I found a not super credible, but I just wanted to put it out there. Some concerns online from, do you know what Chiebukuro is?
No.
So it's like the Yahoo Answers or like the Quora of Japan. People just like post a question and then you'll have commenters like post, answers or opinions or whatever.
Okay.
So the question that the poster had was, why doesn't Saikyo-chan get evicted? If you think about the money she makes on TikTok Live, she can definitely pay her bills.
She does live too?
Yeah, she does TikTok Lives and like receives a lot of like, what do you call
it?
Gifts, stamps or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
And so if you think about the money she makes on TikTok Live, she can definitely pay her bills. And she also works a part-time job. So she can be pretty well off and at least like hire a cleaning service or something. Was this person's like question and concern.
Yeah.
And so there was an answer on there. I'm going to have Frankie read the summary.
Okay. So some speculation. Originally, she ran away from the hospital due to family circumstances and mental illness and tried to get a job, but she seems to have difficulty communicating with people, so she lives off the income from TikTok. Now her landlord has complained and she put up notices in the apartment. So she seems to be serious about cleaning it up soon, but I think that's just because she wants to go viral. She's looking for TikTokers, only handsome men, because Saikyo-chan only accepts handsome men.
Saikyo-chan's words, she said in videos. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
She knows what she wants. To cooperate with her in live streaming. What does that mean?
Like, you know how you can like duet or duel in live streams and stuff for like gifts and stuff?
Collaborate?
It's very like collaborate. Yeah, it's very like Japanese kyoryoku, like cooperate. Yeah.
She also asked the staff at the muscle bar she went to the other day for cooperation. Collaboration?
Yeah.
So I think she has enough money. She just wants to go viral on purpose. There were times when she asked, hey, everyone, what do you think will go viral in live streaming? And said, I made a lot of money. Damn, I'm going to get found out. That's it. That's not it now. What?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so according to this person, it sounds like they've been following Saikyo-chan for a while to know, like, she goes out and about and she does, like, TikTok lives and stuff.
From the mental hospital or something?
Yeah, I don't know if this is something she's mentioned, like, early on in her videos. But again, like, who knows how much of it is true? If it is true, that's really, like, unfortunate and sad, right? Because, again, you have to have a certain level of, like, mental illness per se to like be able to like live like that.
Hoarding
still.
is a mental
So she clearly
disorder.
Yeah, she clearly has hoarding disorder to some degree. In my opinion, I'm not an expert.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
we're not a psychologist, psychiatrist. We can't diagnose.
Yeah, and so anyway, my thoughts. So the question is now, is Saikyo-chan actually mentally ill? We both said we think so. To some degree, she has like hoarding disorder.
To some degree.
For sure, yeah. So yeah, she definitely, but she also seems very aware of like what kind of content goes viral, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So although maybe she didn't post her, first videos with the intent of making money at first, she probably just like was doing daily life videos out of like boredom or like to be online like everyone on TikTok does.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think now she's kind of keeping up this Hikikomori idol / like gomi yashiki image to stay relevant and like do rage bait and make money on TikTok.
Yep.
In my opinion. Yeah, so also I did some digging like in her videos and in her comment section, because if you see someone like this, you're kind of like, I don't know, if you're like a hateful commenter on the internet, you're probably going to post things like, ew, like clean up your house or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I was surprised to see that there's a large amount of positive comments on her TikToks. And she even has a lot of supporters, and she's got quite a few followers. So,
like what? What are some positive comments?
Like, Saikyo-chan kawaii, like, you're cute, or like, you're the best, or like, you're so funny. Because she, like, the way she speaks is very, like, I don't know, it's very, like, aggressive, and it's very fast. And she kind of, like you said, she's like a very, like, I know what I want kind of person. And she's like, yeah, I got another notice from the landlord telling me to clean up my house or I'll get evicted. Whatever, I'll do it like tomorrow. Like, she's very like nonchalant about the situation in her videos. And so a lot of the comments are like, cool, like, whoa, like you like live this way, I guess. So kind of in support of her. But of course, there's a lot of critics out there as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, especially when I search more in English, there are a lot more like reaction videos of her kind of not judging. What is the word I'm looking for? Analyzing? Critiquing. Thank you. Critiquing her lifestyle on like Reddit and stuff, calling her cockroach girl. Yeah, and saying she needs to be stopped. So it's kind of interesting how in English, I guess for people who don't know the Hikikomori history and stuff, they've like labeled her as this cockroach girl versus in Japan, they've labeled her as this Hikikomori idol, which sounds a lot more like
very interesting.
Positive. Yeah. And I don't know if it could just be like a cultural thing. And Japanese people obviously are more aware of Hikikomori culture here. And like, I don't know. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. But I feel like it's could be a slippery slope because there's always copycats, you know. Is she going to inspire other people to be Hikikomori idols and not pay their rent?
Yeah, and like we said earlier, kind of
willingly, not because you can't afford it.
And we said earlier too, it is kind of dangerous because it's really making light of the mental health side of hikikomori. Like not all hikikomori or people with hoarding disorder live the same life that Saikyo-chan does. Not all of them are like in the same headspace to like make light of their situation and like post on the internet about like, look at me cooking with all of my bugs. You know, a lot of them are in deeper, you know, maybe mental health headspaces where they're not doing as well as her, you know, and now they might not be taken as seriously because of creators like Saikyo-chan. So like you said, it is a very slippery slope. And other than her positive comments on TikTok, there are a lot more recent comments speculating and asking, is this real? Like, are you for real? Like, how is this like, because she'll be like outside and will be like really aggressive to like random people too. Or like some people will catch her in the Conbini and they'll be like, hey, are you Saikyo-chan? And again, I don't know if it's a skit, like if she's collaborating with someone or whatever, but she'll be like yelling at them in the Conbini or like just kind of talking down on them. And people are commenting like, is this a character you're like playing at this point? Like they're not sure if this is really her or if it's a character because she's so willing to just like take it outside of her home too, almost.
Yeah,
like,
that's a very good question.
Yeah, and so
I guess I don't want to say we'll never know.
Yeah,
but for now we don't know.
I mean, if we keep up with this, I'm sure we'll find out eventually. Because I didn't know she was making money on lives. Like she has enough followers to like, and it's TikTok Live. You're not going to get rich off of like TikTok Live money only, you know. But
I don't know. Some people
it is an income.
Can make a lot of money on TikTok Live.
I mean, Jason Nash tries to do it. Like, do you know him? He's like begging for galaxies or whatever and roses. So who knows? Maybe she's living off her like rose income or something.
Yeah. But even just the regular videos. Yeah. So what I know about the TikTok Creator Fund, it did take a while for Japan to be part of it. But now I think if you have over 10,000 followers and if the videos are over 1 minute, they can be monetized.
Oh, okay.
But I think they introduced something else recently that said like high quality videos also count, even if they're not a minute. But I'm not too sure about that yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
But assuming her videos are over a minute with the views that she's getting, she probably generates some creator fund revenue.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, I hope she doesn't inspire others to like do this, like make light of this lifestyle like on purpose, you know, or like make fun, not even make fun, but like, you know.
Well, let's say that it is not real what she's doing, and then it inspires other people to do the same thing, but they take it seriously. Yeah. And then they actually do get evicted or get into some serious trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I wanted to see, like, are there other people like this out there? Because I did kind of question it as well. And, like, thankfully, when you do search gomi yashiki in Japanese here on TikTok, it's a lot of, like, cleaning videos that have to do with, you know, hoarder houses or, like, gomi yashiki. And then Saikyo-chan is the second recommendation that comes up. And she seems to be the only recommendation that comes up in that category of gomi yashiki, which is, like, in this case, good, right? Because we don't...
True.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean that others don't exist out there, but at least in terms of, like, mainstream TikTok media, like... Yeah, maybe it's best to keep it only to one person at least for now. But yeah, that was kind of like all I had. I do question if she is, like, faking sometimes, but then I'm also like,
well, it could be exaggerated. Some things,
yeah. I know. Faking
not like everything
sounds
is fake,
like a big allegation or a big assumption, but it's almost like I can't help but think it's real because the bugs are real. Like, you know, it's
true.
not
the bugs
like
are real. The trash is real.
The trash is real. The
so
bugs
maybe
are
just
real.
Some of the other things could be exaggerated.
But it is very clear, and that Saikyo-chan is suffering from some kind of mental illness, I'm sure. And so, yeah, I hope she's happy with whatever she's doing. Like, I hope what she's doing now does make her happy. I don't hope she gets evicted or anything. I just kind of did my research in terms of, like, how hasn't she? Because, again, I was curious about, like, how eviction works in Japan, especially in living conditions that are being broadcasted publicly. Like, there's evidence, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh, I do have, I don't remember exactly, but there was a news story kind of recently where there was a gomi yashiki, and I think it was like a son and his mother were living there. Okay. And the mom was missing. Like, she went out, I don't know, I think he was a hikikomori, and he assumed that she went out like to run errands or something. But yeah, she was missing. And then I think neighbors had reported a smell coming from the house, so they found, like, the dead body of his mother in the house, and it had been, like, years of decomposition or something.
Years?
Yeah,
and
I'm going to find the exact news story.
Yeah. And he didn't question it for years?
Yeah.
That's really, really sad.
It's a very extreme case.
And so,
that was in Japan, by the way.
Yeah, so the it's okay.
About this story?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, like, the level of hoarding must have been so extreme. Like, if he couldn't find her with, like, I'm assuming, was she just buried in garbage then?
I think so.
Or, like, was her house kind of, like, if he was hikikomori, maybe she was in a part of the house that he never, like, went to anyway. I don't
think it was, like, a one-room apartment kind of thing. It was a house with rooms.
Yeah. That's all I was asking. It was just, like, how could you not notice, you know, like, if you're in the same house? But, you know, there's a number of reasons, I'm sure. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, I will bring up that article. But about Saikyo-chan, she lives in Tokyo?
Yeah, she lives in Tokyo. And she lives in, like, again, I can't really tell because the garbage is piled up all around her and up to the ceiling. But I'm assuming it's probably, like, a one room, like a 1K or something. But I can't tell if her utilities or everything has been shut off because she doesn't cook on a stove. She actually cooks on, like, a hot plate.
Oh.
Yeah, and I can't see if the hot plate is, like, plugged in where she does have electricity or if it's, like, a battery thing, but it's like a electric hot plate that she cooks on. Oh, okay. Which, now that you mentioned, we talked about fire hazards and stuff. Like, she has so much trash laying around that there's no place for her to put this hot plate on except for on the pile of trash. And so imagine, like, you're cooking, you're, like, heating food up on, like, burnable garbage, and if you forget to, like, unplug it, or if you, like, turn it, you know, maybe if it falls over and it's, like, on still, like, something is bound to catch on fire. And that's why I'm really worried about.
Yeah, couldn't there even be an electrical fire or something? Because where the outlet is, it's probably also maybe covered in garbage?
I assume so, but yeah, if again, I'm not like praying for her downfall or anything like that, but like if something were to happen, like something were to catch on fire, that not only apartment, but that building is going to go down so quick because there's just so much stuff to catch on fire in that house.
That is really dangerous.
Yeah, and so I worry, it's always out of a place of concern when I talk about Saikyo-chan because I'm also worried about the residents surrounding her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think through this whole episode, we haven't been insulting her or anything. We're
no,
concerned about this.
Yeah, but I'm like really curious. Like, what I would really hate to see is that she gains so much like popularity where she's offered like, I don't know, like commercial deals or like, you know, things in bigger media as Saikyo-chan almost like where she has to keep up this like persona. Like, and again, like, because it will be glorifying and like making the situation of mental health and everything like a lot lighter, you know, so people won't take it as seriously as they should. And so that's kind of what I worry about. Or she'll be like, I don't know, have like a shady manager or something. Because she seems very like, at this point, based on her TikTok lives and everything, like motivated by money.
Yeah.
And so now I worry like she'll be kind of roped into, you know, maybe a shady manager who is going to like milk every dime out of her, every yen out of her. And then she'll be caught in an even deeper like financial situation.
Yeah.
And so like, I really hope that's not the case either. So girl, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, how long were we recording for? I wasn't even sure about that one. But
no idea.
Yeah, thank you for following us on this journey of hoarder houses and Saikyo-chan. If you are curious about her, you can search her on TikTok. She has a lot of videos out there.
Yep.
Yeah, what I did notice though is her earlier videos are kind of more just like light and kind of talking about who she is. And now you can tell like after which video has gone a little bit more viral, she's really sticking to that niche of like the cockroach cooking and like all that stuff. So she knows what she's doing, I think, to some extent. But yeah, feel free to look her up. And thanks for sticking with us. That's all we have for today.
All right. Thanks for listening and watching. Catch you next time.
All right. Bye.